If you do some streaming in OBS using VDO Ninja, or you stream with Ecamm Live, Evmux, StreamYard, and you like to bring in guests, and you can have something that looks like this when you have your guest on, this is probably not looking good. You can actually spice it up by adding something called an overlay. An overlay will actually turn it into something like this, which is awesome. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how to design your own overlays. Again, there's some options. If you're lazy and you want to purchase some overlays, of course you can actually get those, or if you want to save time. However, if you think you have time to do your own or to make your own overlays, I'm gonna show you how to do exactly that. And we're gonna be using Photoshop. We're gonna be designing something that will look like this. Again, depending on how many scenes that you need, you can have a scene where you have one person and yourself, so 2 people, or you can have a scene where you have yourself and maybe sharing a screen, and you can have a scene where you have maybe 3 guests at the same time on the screen. So depending on what you need, in this video I'm gonna teach you how actually the concept on how you can design that. Now, if you don't have access to Photoshop, you can use a free version of Photoshop online called Photop, and it's gonna do exactly that. So let's not take much time, let's get started. Right now I have my Photoshop open, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually open a new document. We're gonna go ahead and actually hit new because I want to show you everything from scratch. Now what you need to do is you need to open a 1080p by 1920 document. Okay, I have a preset already pre-made, but if I didn't, you can actually go here and type in 1920 for wide, and then height it will be 1080. Everything should be in pixels, and hit create. Now you can go ahead and save it on your desktop, save as, and then we're gonna call it overlay guest. All right, and then hit save. Okay, so this is the document, this is what it looks like. And now the next thing we need to do is go to Google and type in Ecamm live overlay. Now the reason why we do that is to be able to get some inspiration. Okay, so you need to see what other people have done actually, and try to mimic or try to do maybe not exactly the same thing, but use that to inspire yourself. That's how I do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit click image, and as you can see, you have so many samples here. Okay, you can choose whichever you like. Okay, and what you can do, you can actually go ahead and right click on it and save the image on your desktop. Now I already have one that I have downloaded, and that's the one we're gonna try to actually mimic. So this is the one that I have downloaded from the internet, and as you can see, this is what it looks like. We're gonna go back to Photoshop here, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag the image that we downloaded, and I'm gonna drop it into my Photoshop. Okay, now I can go ahead and actually right click on the layer and then hit duplicate layer. And the reason why I duplicate the layer is because in case I play with it and I damage it, I want to make sure I keep the original. So I can go ahead and turn off the background or the other copy and remain with one copy. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start our designing process. What we need to do, we're gonna go ahead and mimic the 2 shapes or 2 rectangles. So you need to go here on the shape tool, and you need to choose the rectangle tool, and on the top here what you need to do is you're gonna go ahead and on the fill you choose no color, and then on the stroke we're gonna go ahead and pick white. So we're gonna be using a white color, and on the pixels let's take something around 7. Let's try that and see what we get. And we're gonna go ahead and draw into our background, okay, just to mimic almost the same thing, to do exactly the same thing, but not 100% the same thing. You're gonna see when we finish. So we got our rectangle, and we can actually use this dot here to make it a little round-ish. Okay, maybe let's make it a little thicker. So let's go to 10 pixels, and as you can see, it looks good. Let's make it to 12 pixels here for the stroke. So let's take it to around 12 something. 15.6 looks good. All right, so once we have it, it looks good to me, and it's kind of matching the other rectangle. So what you need to do, hit Alt on your keyboard and click on it, and then move, drag it to the other side. And what it does, it's actually copying the same shape. Make sure everything's aligned, and boom, we're good. Now you can go ahead and name all the shapes just to make sure you don't get confused. So double click, and we're gonna call it guest shape guest. The other one, we can call it shape host. So now what we're gonna do is we can turn off the background and see what it looks like, and it's coming together. The next thing we are going to do, we are going to design the name tags, or the little lower thirds, okay, for their names. So what we need to do, hit the rectangle, same thing. So go to the fill and then choose let's say a blue color, and for stroke we're gonna put nothing, so no color, and we're gonna go ahead and actually draw it right here. All right, so this is what it looks like, and as you can see, we need to make it a little bigger. I like to make it a little bigger to have access to these little tools here, to have some rounded edges. Okay, so you need to use this dot to create these rounded edges, and then make it a little smaller again, something like this, and then boom, squeeze it a little bit, something like this, and then have it right here. Again, we can make it even smaller, something like this, and boom, we're gonna have it somewhere here. And the secret is we're gonna have it under the shape. So this is what it looks like. What we can do is we can actually copy the same thing, so hit Alt and then bring it over there, so we have the same, exactly the same thing as the other one. These are going to be for our guest and host names. Okay, we can add the names in OBS or any other streaming software. If we want, we can actually do it in Photoshop. It's all possible, no problem. So that's pretty much it. What we need to do now, if we turn off the background, this is what the whole thing looks like. Okay, now there's one thing missing. I'm gonna move this one a little bit up. Okay, now what's missing now we need to do is we need to go ahead and bring in our background. Okay, now I'm gonna show you a website. It's called pixabay.com. Okay, so you go to Google and type in pixabay.com. okay, I'm gonna put a link down below for you guys. Now on this website, you can actually download free images. So it could be free background. Just go here and type in background and search, and as you can see, it's gonna give you some background images here, okay, that you can actually use. Like this one, I use it. I have another one that I use somewhere here. And if you want some moving backgrounds for video, because that's gonna be our bonus tip at the end, I'm gonna show you how you can actually have some moving backgrounds with your overlays. You can actually, in search here, you can actually put in video, and it's gonna give you some moving backgrounds, which is awesome. Okay, so once you have the one that you like, you're gonna download it. I already have mine downloaded, so we're not gonna go through that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and actually bring it in here. Okay, so you can see it looks really good. Now what I need to do, you need to actually have it down under the rectangle shapes. Now you can see that the whole thing is actually coming together. Now this looks super good and super exciting. So now what we need to do is, our next step is we're gonna go ahead and remove this area here of the background, because that's where our image or our host and guest image is going to appear. So the secret here is really to go to the background here that we just imported. You always want to make sure you duplicate the layer, because you want to keep the original turn off the original or the copy that you just made. And what we need to do, we need to go to the selection tool here. We're gonna go ahead and pick this area here around our rectangles that we don't need and just remove it. Now, before we do that, you need to right click here on the background image and hit choose rasterize layer. That's important. That's why Photoshop is going to allow you to remove the background, and boom, hit delete on your keyboard and the background will be gone. And then we're gonna do the same thing here. Make sure the layer of the background is selected. If it's not, this is not gonna work. Okay, and hit delete, same concept, and hit Control D on your keyboard to deselect everything. So as you can see, everything looks good. Now we have a transparent background overlay. Okay, if you want to spice it up a little bit, you can actually take one of these rectangles here. I'm gonna copy it, and again you hit Alt and move it, and then I'm gonna have it make it a little bigger, kind of full screen here. We can actually go ahead and change the color, the stroke color, to something like blue or something from the background. So we can pick the color from the background, maybe something like that. And then it's too similar, maybe pick something like this, right? So it looks a little kind of close. Okay, another thing is you can actually choose, instead of having white rectangles to kind of match the background, it's always about matching and, you know, having the colors kind of match. And then you can go ahead and actually pick a color here, something like this, right, that will kind of match the background instead of having pure white, something like that maybe, right? So same thing on this one. We can go ahead and go to color and then use the color picker, and we can copy exactly the same thing. So now our background is kind of matching with the rectangles or the shapes and everything. And what we can do here, we can actually, again, if you want to spice it up a little bit, maybe you want to leave this area for the topic of the day. All right, so what we can do is we can actually take one of the shapes here, have it somewhere down here, and then make it a little bigger, right? And then you can use this. Let's maybe add some text, say topic. Let's say topic of the day. Resize it, make it smaller. Boom, we'll have it somewhere here. Okay, it could even be the name of the show, your show, maybe something, anything you want. Another thing you can do that would be very, very interesting, you can have a circle here, right? Maybe have something like this. This could be your logo here, something close to my brand. And then maybe have a white stroke, right? And let's have logo here, type logo, and this could be your logo right here. The only thing left is to actually export. You can save it and hit export as. Make sure you choose the format, has to be PNG, and then check transparency, and that's pretty much it. And then hit export, and then we can name it overlay guest, hit save. Okay, so now what we need to do is we can go to OBS right now. So let's open OBS. Again, I had some demo. This is another one that we're gonna create in the moment, okay, with the video looping. But we're gonna create a new scene here. I'm gonna create sample overlays. Okay, add a new source, and the source is gonna be an image source, and then we're gonna name it overlay, and then hit OK. And then we're gonna look for the overlay that we just made, hit open, and boom, as you can see, it looks pretty awesome. Now the next thing that we can do is we can go ahead and actually bring in ourselves, our camera and our guest camera. Now since I don't have a guest right now, I'm just going to mimic, so I'm going to bring in some videos that I have recorded, so just to show you what it will look like. So this is, I'm gonna add a new media source and I'm gonna call it guest video, and then I'm gonna hit OK, and I'm gonna make sure it loops. Again, this is different. If you were live streaming, it wouldn't be a video. Okay, I just want to loop it so you guys can see, have an idea. And I'm gonna look for the video right here. And then hit OK, and this is what the video looks like. And now I'm gonna have the video underneath. Okay, so the overlay it has to be on the top, and we are going to resize it something like this. Boom. And we can actually lock our overlay to make sure we don't move it. And this is our guest number one. I can go ahead and actually bring in another media source, and I can actually make this one host. And for the host, I'm gonna bring in another video just to, again, for the sake of doing a quick demo, just a different video here. Boom. And what I'm gonna do, again, I'm gonna have it underneath, and I'm gonna resize it, make sure it fits something like this. Boom. And as you can see now, you can go ahead and add the text layer in OBS. You add your name, your guest name here, no problem. You can, kind of modify it and make it your own. Again, I can't be too specific because everybody has different needs, but this is what it's gonna look like in OBS. Now I can actually go ahead and actually record it so I can show you the output of the whole thing, what it's gonna look like on the big screen, but this is just a sample. Okay, so this is how you make it. As you can see, it looks really awesome, it looks professional, and it's amazing, right? So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to actually spice it up. And what I mean by that is that we are going to add a moving video. So instead of having a static background, we can have a video that's going to be moving, and that's going to make the show a little more dynamic. So what you need to do is we are going to go back to Photoshop here. We are going to turn off our background, so just turn it off like this. We're gonna leave the whole thing kind of transparent, and we're gonna go ahead and export as, again, PNG. All right, everything should be good, transparent. Hit export, and now I'm gonna name it video, so overlay guest video. Hit save. I'm gonna go to OBS now, and I'm gonna turn off my overlay. So in theory, this is what you would have if you had a guest on stream without overlays. It may look something like this. Okay, so, and what we need here, we are going to bring in the new overlay that we just made. So I'm gonna hit plus, and I'm gonna go to image, and I'm gonna go to overlay video. That's what I'm gonna call it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and browse, and it should be somewhere here, and boom, open it, hit OK, and this is what it looks like. And as you can see, this area is black. Why? Is because this area is transparent. So what you need to do now, we need to find a video. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually lock it. Right, lock it so don't move it, and we're gonna go ahead and find a video that can actually replace our background. Okay, now you can go back to Pixabay and download the video that you like that will match with your branding and everything, but for the purpose of this video, I have already a video downloaded, and I'm gonna go ahead and add the media source, and then I'll call it video background. Hit OK. and I want the video to be looping. This is important, so you need your video to be looping. Okay, that's your background. Okay, if you don't loop it, it will just stop and it will stop moving. Okay, so now I have this video right here. I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna hit OK. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it down under our overlay. All right, even under, it has to go completely under everything. Okay, and now we have some black area, so this is where you have to kind of adjust it. So we're gonna make it really big, and then I'm gonna move it up like this, just to make sure I have the whole kind of area covered, right? So now everything looks covered to me. Okay, so we can go ahead and lock it. Now, as you can see, we have a problem here because the video is kind of oversized right now. So what we need to do is, because this wasn't custom made in Photoshop, we need to go back to our videos and hit Alt and then resize them, make sure they fit well within the two rectangles or the shapes. This is why you need to make the shapes a little thicker, right? You don't want the video to be bleeding. All right, still a little something bleeding here. All right, so this looks good to me. Now what we can do here is we can go ahead, because as you can see, it's not matching with what we have, so we need to make sure the color matches a little bit with everything here. Okay, so you can go ahead and go to the video and then filters. Again, this you can do it on the image as well, right? If you want to change your overlay, make sure it's kind of like matching with your brand maybe, or your guest came in and they have a different background, you want to match their colors a little bit. You can go to the video background, right click, go to filters, and then go to the plus sign, and then go to add a color correction effect or filter, and you can use the hue shift to kind of make it look like something that will match whatever colors that you have. So right now we have something bluish. As you can see, you can get almost any color that you want. So we can maybe use something like this, right? Pinkish, or we can go ahead and what did I do? I'm not changing the opacity. So we can go to hue. Opacity has to be 100. So we can go to hue and make it maybe something like this. This is blue. It's probably not matching with what I have here as a video, but again, this is just to show you what it will look like, guys. The important thing is you need to make sure when you go play with these colors, make sure you get something that will match exactly your branding. Okay, that's very important. Okay, otherwise it will look very off and it won't make sense, or it will be kind of off brand. So that's important to understand how colors match and everything, and don't apply too many effects, because as you can see, there's some stuff that don't look good. So this is just a quick hack to show you. Again, if I disable the background here and then I go back to our overlay here, okay, and I can disable this one. So if I go to a static background, I can go to filters and then I can add a color correction tool, color correction filter. And if I change this to add a little bit of hue, you can see that this works better, right? So this, something like this, you can see that it looks really good, and it matches, goes well with my branding. The color purple, and this is kind of darker, and I'll say this is actually really good. So these are things you can do. Again, you can use these filters in OBS and kind of make sure it looks good. and it goes with your brand. And again, you have the video option or the static option. Once you're done, obviously just gonna have your guest in and have a conversation, and you're gonna look professional. Another thing you can do, if you have 3 guests, you can actually design something that will look like this. Maybe you want to share your screen and you are on screen, you can design something that will look like this. This was just to show you the concept. Once you know how to do the first scene kind of look, you can actually design anything you want. Use Photoshop or Photopea or any kind of designing software should be able to do this kind of things. And as you can see, you're gonna look more professional. If you want to know how to bring in guests into OBS using a software or a platform called VDO Ninja, which is 100% free, with actually, if you combine it with an overlay like this, it's gonna look amazing and people will think you're actually using Ecamm Live or something like StreamYard. You can go ahead and actually watch a video that I'm gonna link at the end of this video. But also don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. But other than that, my name is Sam, you're watching our production tips and tools, and I'll see you on my next video. Take care.